We're back. We're back with Mad About Markets, and we hope you've stayed mad about markets in these 4 months that we've been away. What a fabulous 3 seasons we've had. We've talked about everything under the sun, and just when we thought we were about getting done, the last 4 months, the world has really changed. And why has it changed? The biggest reason for that change, that's why we're back here today to talk about that and a whole lot more through this episode. But what's on top of mind, Mangalam?
What's on top of mind? The thing that has been on top of mind of the world for the last 2.5, 3, maybe 4 months or so.
Yeah.
It's 2 simple words or 2 simple letters: artificial intelligence or AI. That has
small letters, huge implications.
That's on top of mind. That's what we're going to do. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to dive deep into the world of AI, explore its potential, most importantly, the impact on our lives, and how it could change a lot of things in the world. Let's talk about ChatGPT, because no conversation about AI can start without ChatGPT. You've heard about it, of course. You've used it, perhaps. If you haven't, then you should, because it's the fastest growing app ever. Launched towards the end of the year, 30th November to be precise, the app reached 1 million users in just 5 days, beating out all the big names ever, the likes of Twitter, Facebook, Netflix, all of them. And by January 2023, it had 100 million users. That's not all. We looked at it in February. The website had 1 billion visits, billion unique visits. And as of the latest available data, end of March, 186 million users. That's crazy, right? Just 4 months and 200 million users.
Those numbers are mind-boggling, the speed of adoption of AI and what it's going to do in future. Because you know what, if you look at other apps that have actually been able to get that many users, now Instagram is a distant second. It took the app 2.5 months to reach 1 million users. Now, Facebook took 10 months to do that. But if you look at the 100 million user club, you have apps like TikTok. That took 9 months to reach 100 million users. Spotify took 30 months, Uber 70 months, ChatGPT, like Mangalam was just telling us, 2 months. Now, that is the power of artificial intelligence, of AI that we're talking about here today. And it is, like I said, mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling. And not just the use of adaptation. If you just take a look at the way everyone's looking at revenue generation capabilities from artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, when it was launched, the year of its launch, it's expected sub $10 million in terms of revenue. The next year, 2023, where we're in right now, the company is guided for $200 million of revenue. 2024, this jumps all the way up to $1 billion. And 2027, $10 billion. So this journey of 5 years from sub $10 million to $10 billion is baffling, right? And that's only ChatGPT, and which is why perhaps we have a lot of other players as well looking at the artificial intelligence space. I mean, you look at the recent announcements that have happened in the world of AI. Microsoft been working on its Bing AI. Google, of course, launched its Bard AI, some speed breakers notwithstanding. Meta has launched its own AI lab to develop new AI technologies. And what have you, Apple, IBM, any big tech or small tech company that you speak about has some, interest in artificial intelligence.
Well, it's not just tech giants, right? Companies in India are talking about it increasingly. I mean, you have tech companies in India. You have Infosys, TCS at their press conferences. The new buzzword is AI. It's not attrition. It's not revenue. It's not dollar revenue guidance. It is AI. Hear it from what they said.
We are leveraging generative AI capabilities for our clients and within the company. We have active projects with clients working with generative AI platforms to address specific areas within their business. We have trained open source generative AI platforms on our internal software development libraries. We anticipate generative AI to provide more opportunities for work with our clients and to enable us to improve our productivity.
Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth. You have Infosys, TCS and whatnot talking about AI, which is the buzzword. Now, the many kinds of AI that are in the market, at least for now, there are 3 primary ones we're discussing. The first type is a generative AI, which can recognize patterns and create new outputs. The second one that we have is a responsive AI. What it does is interacts with users. Your chatbots and all that you often come across on websites are often powered by responsive AI. And the third type is an autonomous intelligence AI, which makes automated decision-making without human intervention. Now, this itself is expected to be a huge game changer for several industries. We'll see how it impacts everything around it. But on that note, Mangalam, we're going to introduce our guest to really tell us what's going on in the market right now.
And, they have been doing a lot of stuff in the generative, responsive and the autonomous AI space itself, and they are homegrown. They are co-founders of Fluid AI. With us, we have Abhinav Aggarwal as well as Raghav Aggarwal. They founded Fluid AI.
Hi,
how long
Abhinav.
ago was that?
Hi, Mangalam.
Hi, Raghav.
Hi, Ritu.
Good to have you on the show.
Awesome to be here.
I see you
Yeah.
carrying a book.
Yeah, so
What exactly is this?
this is the first AI written book.
Okay,
It's
how
written
long ago?
completely, it was written in November 2022, and it's a bestseller on Amazon right now.
How does it feel that, a book that wasn't written by a human is a bestseller? Wrong at some point?
No, I think it showcases the power of the technology, right? So we still sort of edited it, we sort of still asked it the questions. But, it was sort of, we did so many AI implementations in the past that we were very interested in saying that how does a company really implement AI? So we said, let's ask the AI. So it's an AI on AI kind of a take.
Oh, okay.
So it's a very interesting sort of a scenario.
We will most definitely read this, and now that you've called it an Amazon bestseller, I'll probably check it out. But why have you, given credit to Abhinav and Raghav when the writer of the book is AI itself?
AI, yeah.
So it's an AI that sort of our company created, and we sort of really sort of gave it the thought behind it.
Right? Yeah.
So, tell us about your company. What does Fluid AI do? I mean, we've heard of ChatGPT. Everybody's tried using it. We know Bard is sort of in the picture.
Up.
We know Meta's investing. What is Fluid AI doing?
So at Fluid AI, we essentially allowing enterprises to leverage GPT in a very new way, right? So ChatGPT is very public. You can use it to ask it for a recipe.
Yeah.
You can ask it to do any kind of fun stuff.
Travel.
But when an organization wants to use it, you can't put your private data onto ChatGPT, right? That's going to be a disaster out there. Plus, you want to expose it to more specific use cases of your organization. So think of it like this really smart knowledge worker, but you can actually have AI go ahead and now understand everything of your organization, start having
Make sense of the data.
Absolutely.
Give us an example of a tool that you've created.
So, for instance, customer service and support is a huge area, right? And typically, there are a lot of SOPs, manuals, etc., that banks, financial institutions have. And for a new sort of knowledge worker to get it trained, it takes months. But our AI knows all the internal SOPs, processes, and can answer them within 30 seconds. So the customer service experience really elevates to the next level. It's just one scenario.
But, that's something we've had for a while, right? I mean, we're talking about the explosion that we've seen in the last 4 months, because we've been on websites. I'm sure you've used chatbots to...
Bunch of them.
Yeah, so what's new in the responsive AI?
So what changes here is that, when you have a GPT algorithm at the back and you do the same use case, it's very different, right?
How so?
So if you, let's say you chatted with a chatbot, right? It used to take you through those simple flows saying, okay, what's wrong? My internet banking is an issue, password reset, right? Now it can go ahead and it can, like a ChatGPT experience, right? You can say, I have this issue, it's going to guide you, but you can say, write an email to the customer informing him that this is how to solve it. And it's going to generate the entire email on the fly, send it out to the customer on its own. So it's a very different paradigm when you start interacting.
Are you guys the only guys doing this in India?
As of now, I think we are. I wouldn't know anyone else in the space right now.
Or you wouldn't talk about anyone else? No, but what we try to understand is the kind of opportunity that there is. Because what's the kind of run rate that you're at right now?
So, being a private company, we don't reveal that, but we are growing at a very fast pace. We are doubling in size almost every year for the last couple of years now.
And I think the key that we are seeing is that most organizations typically now are saying that, okay, all individuals like you and me have started using ChatGPT almost on a daily basis when you talk to anyone. But organizations haven't brought that excitement into their orgs, right? And that's where we feel the explosion is now kicking off.
Is the business really starting to pick up in the last 5 to 6 months much more than you saw before?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen, like Raghav was mentioning, we used to double, but this year we're seeing at least a 4x a year easily.
Are you raising funds? I mean, if you're planning to grow at the same pace as the demand, are you in the market for funds? Because we do hear that it's not very easy to get funds for AI startups right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the generative space, if you say you're doing generative AI, raising funds is very, very easy now.
Okay.
But and it's an expensive practice as well, because running the whole engine is pretty expensive. But what we found is we've been profitable for the last 10 years. So we've been growing really well profitably. So we're kind of at the stage where we're deciding that, okay, if the right opportunity strategic exists, we might go for it, but we won't do it for the money.
So far you've been entirely bootstrapped.
Bootstrapped, yes, yeah. It's a college startup, so both of us.
Okay, so let's do this. Before we talk about generative AI and the impact that it can have on organizations, etc., let's talk about the impact that it can have on the world itself. Goldman Sachs actually predicts that generative AI itself could drive a 7% increase in global GDP, which amounts to almost $7 trillion. That's a little over 1.5 India being added to the global GDP itself. Meanwhile, AI could boost global GDP by 14%, which is an additional almost $16 trillion as per PwC. So 2 estimates coming in on board here. The AI space is booming and investments and deals are being made left, right and center. If you just take a look at Jasper Chat, for example, has raised about $125 million in a Series A funding round. ChatSonic AI raised about $2.6 million in September 2021 in a seed round led by Soma Capital and 20 other investors. They are now planning a Series A-B funding round in the first quarter of 2023 itself. Not many deals, but the ones which are happening are big, Ritu.
And I'm sure these will pick up as, the use cases expand as, these guys have been telling us more and more companies now are looking to AI. In fact, you know what? According to UBS, 33% of 250 plus generative AI companies have not raised any outside funds, just like Fluid AI, and 51% are just in Series A or early stage companies, so they're just starting to pick up. The average deal in this space is at 20 to 25 times revenue, with recent ones even crossing 40 times, for instance. Now, we also have to talk about how large this market can really be. Now, currently, it is projected to grow from about $87 billion as of 2021 all of the way to $165 billion by just 2023. And thereon, you see the kind of growth that is expected. $314 billion by 2025, more than double to $829 billion by 2028. And just by 2030, $1.5 trillion. That is the kind of market we're talking about. And these are just early estimates.
These are just early estimates, and, it can expand too much. As far as India is concerned, what are your thoughts? I mean, globally, it's an $87 to $90 billion market currently. How big could India be right now?
I think India could be 15-20% of this.
15-20%?
Because if you look at it, what AI is going to do is going to empower a lot of our people who may not be literate, who may not have the English skills, to sort of just give their thought process to the AI and get back what they need to communicate with the rest of the world.
So what happens to the large companies, Infosys, TCS? I mean, everyone can code now. Their moat was to get a lot of people who can code. Now, if that can be done using artificial intelligence, do we see a reduction in their employee numbers?
Well, it's kind of a catch-22, right? Because it's about how they play this whole space, right? You could say that suddenly an Infosys could lower its cost, right? Start hiring from all over India. Much lower talent levels are needed, and suddenly they're actually booming the lower level of the economy, getting them to the next level.
That's one way of looking at it, but will it reduce the total number of jobs? Because a lot of it will be automated in future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at least what we've seen is every time one level of automation has hit, right? Like when the Industrial Revolution hit, when computers came, everyone talked about jobs would go. But these technologies fundamentally grow the market so much that I think GDPs of countries will phenomenally jump now. And that will create a whole wide of jobs. So there will be job replacement.
But let's also talk about concerns. When you started talking to us, you said something about, it'd be crazy if companies are putting all their data out there, to get some kind of responses. Again, the question mark is, even when you and I are using ChatGPT, I don't know what you use it for.
I will tell you.
I'm not putting my bank statements out there yet. I just wanted to understand, as people in the industry, where does the responsibility for privacy, for security of our data lies?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think data has now become the key moat in creating all these AI technologies. So I think the future is going to be a lot of private models. So while the public models like ChatGPT will exist, everyone's going to have their own private GPT brain that's kind of sitting within their organization that's doing all the fun stuff.
All right, gentlemen, just hang on to those thoughts. There is a lot we will discuss after this short break. So it's time now for us to take that short break. On the other side, as always, discuss the pros and the cons, which we call the yays and the mays of the AI economy. Also, the bigger question, is artificial intelligence a transformative technology or a threat to jobs, privacy, or humanity? Our guests will join us back. Stay tuned.
It's okay for us to nod for everything, because we are parrots. But your wealth manager? Shouldn't be doing that. You know?
Choose Nuvama. We only do what's right for you and your money. Nuvama. let's do it right. Hey, buddy. Hope you liked them.
Introducing Apollo Alpha. Add more thrill to your beast.
वोल्टास का नया प्योर एयर एडजस्टेबल एसी विद हेपा फिल्टर लाए साफ ठंडी हवा सीधे आपके घर, वो भी 6 एडजस्टेबल टनेज मोड्स में।
तो हवा और सेविंग्स दोनों टन-टनाटन।
The all-new Hyundai Verna. Futuristic, ferocious.
हर इंसान की खुशी की परिभाषा अलग होती है। जैसे कोई अपना स्टार्टअप खोलकर खुश है, तो कोई एक नन्हे मेहमान को घर लाकर। लाखों करोड़ों लोगों की तरह आप भी मुथूट फाइनेंस से गोल्ड लोन लीजिए और अपनी हर खुशी को पंख दीजिए। मुथूट फाइनेंस गोल्ड लोन, खोलिए खुशियों की तिजोरी। आज ही कॉल कीजिए 1-800-313-1212।
After the resounding success of India Inc. On the Move 2022 in Gurgaon, this year we're coming to Mumbai to explore how sustainable practices are the key to long-term success of the manufacturing industry. Get valuable insights from industry luminaries, experts and policymakers on how your business can prosper with this new paradigm for growth. Only at Forbes India and CNBC-TV18 present India Inc. On the Move, Sustainable Manufacturing, powered by Rockwell Automation.
Welcome back. You're watching Mad About Markets, and we're talking about one of the most disruptive forces we've seen in the last few months, artificial intelligence. We've talked a lot about how it's evolved, what is the potential, but it's time now to talk about what works and what doesn't work about this technology. As always, we'll start first with the maze. Now, with all of the AI benefits which it brings, there are also some concerns associated. For instance, ethical considerations. That's always important, and that's very much on top of mind for people. We're seeing some of the big tech names talk about it as well.
We are talking about it. I mean, man versus machine, right? But talk about the possibilities. I'm really excited about the way it can streamline so many business workflows.
Yeah. While it's streamlining those workforce, now, there are concerns about what happens with the content ownership and privacy, because it is using a lot of data. We don't know, where the responsibility lies.
Well, that's something for the regulators to definitely look at. But just consider how it can automate so many routine, mundane tasks. It can do to, the intellectual jobs what the Industrial Revolution did to machines.
And the direct fallout of that, Mangalam, as we always talk about, you're automating jobs, which means almost 300 million full-time jobs could be lost to automation, and that is the estimation now. It could increase in future. It could increase in future, but, at the same time, what could also increase the fair amount of labor productivity. Yes. So optimization and efficiency is what we're looking at. We are, but for a lot of these players to develop, they have to make investments, and currently there are no monetization opportunities for these AI service providers. How that impacts the industry in its future, we've got to see. And once that happens, it can also actually give rise to a fair amount of new jobs, new profiles like prompt engineers, etc. Sure, it can. It could do that. But, like I said, there's insufficient funding as well for AI technologies and solutions. You have the big players making big investments in their own platforms, but outside of that, there's precious little. There is, but you think about the possibilities of the generation of new business applications that it can bring. So many tools that can be created over and above AI as the platform. 94% of business leaders say AI is critical to their success over the next 5 years, and this is a Deloitte report. Furthermore, PwC predicts that labor productivity improvements alone could account for over 55% of the overall GDP growth. While we're talking about all of this growth and automation, the lack of technical skills are also a concern, because the nature of jobs is going to change drastically thanks to AI. All right, so that's about man versus machine. Let's see who wins out there. But what it really does is brings us to the bigger question. Artificial intelligence, is it a transformative technology, or could it be a threat to jobs, privacy and humanity? All right, so the yays, mays, the bigger question asked. So let's get Raghav and Abhinav back on our set. You guys have been waiting for a very long time, listening to us ration out both the pros and cons of artificial intelligence. And the bigger question, is AI a transformative technology, or is it a threat to jobs, humanity and the economy?
I think it's a time frame problem, right? I think next 15, 20 years, it's transformative, because we have not reached AGI yet, which is artificial general intelligence.
Okay.
So it's still interesting, right? So it's going to enable a lot.
There's a question mark on our faces. Yeah. What do you mean by AGI?
So AGI is the AI of the Matrix or the Terminator, right? The all-powerful, all-controlling AIs which understand in general, right?
I see.
We are right. That's 15 years away.
It was 50 years away, but yes, now I would say maybe 15, 20 years away.
Or even lesser, I think.
Yeah,
I would say.
Need fear for that.
That brings us to the question. We had some of the biggest tech names in the world sign this open letter saying perhaps AI is, sort of developing a little too fast for us to understand what the repercussions of that are going to be. Yep. Do you think we need to pause and think back before this explosive technology disrupts more jobs, disrupts other things we may not be able to realize right now?
Yeah, I think it's very hard to implement anything like this, right? Who stops someone from going in their backyard and continuing the development? So in fact, it's going to create kind of a hidden arms race where everyone's developing their own pieces without telling anyone. So it's very impractical. And Musk and all have themselves started their own AI ventures, right? So it's more a means to, I think, slow everyone else down till they catch up.
So what about the end game of this? I mean, what is the capital end game? How do things, evolve?
So when you look at it, there's two levels, right? The infrastructure layer is going to be heavily capital, and that's where you see Microsoft with OpenAI and Google and maybe Amazon with Titan. These three are sort of trying to own the entire game. But it still allows a lot of developers to build use case specific, right? We've taken the enterprise as a use case. There are folks which have taken travel as a use case. So I think that's where you're going to see an explosion which the capital guys can't control, because that's where you really need to understand the user, the use case. So I think that's going to be the two-tier kind of system develop out here.
Well, we'll see how these use cases develop, and there's so much more to do. But before I let you go, one last question. We were talking about without any human intervention, you have the AI making decisions for you. Yeah. What is the immediate repercussion of that? Is that already starting to play out in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a concept called thought-based models, right? Where the AI reasons with itself to decide the next step.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT, you kind of give one prompt, next answer comes back. But imagine if it's thinking of the next action and then taking it.
Should I approve this insurance or not?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, okay, what are the 5 steps I need? Then I need to do this. Then, okay, in that 5 steps, what I need to do next? And it just does everything at the end of it.
All right. So the only conclusion that I get is it's not man versus machine, it's man with machine. And that's extremely powerful. To give you one example before we wrap up on the show, there was a lot of artificial intelligence used in making of today's episode, and that included the bigger question as well. Artificial intelligence told us what happens to it. Is it a transformative technology or not? I think man with machine. On that note, we should take your leave. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Raghav, Abhinav, for joining us.
For your time here, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.